People think love is for young people. They imagine romance happening on college campuses at rooftop parties in New York or during late-night phone calls. That's not the whole story. Many people over 50 are now entering the dating world again. They're not doing it secretly, they're doing it openly. In huge numbers. A 57-year-old woman in New York is alone in her kitchen. Her kids moved out years ago. Her marriage ended after decades. The house is quiet except for the fridge humming. She downloads a dating app for the time. Her hands shake while uploading a photo. She hasn't flirted with anyone in 25 years. Across the world, a retired man in London gets a message from someone he met online. He feels guilty for smiling, he feels guilty for wanting company, he feels guilty for wanting love. That's the truth. People don't stop needing love just because they get older. Loneliness doesn't retire at 50. People still want to laugh with someone during dinner. They still want to wake up beside someone. They still want to feel understood. They still want to hold someone's hand during times. Romance was seen as embarrassing for adults. Modern life changed everything. People are healthier, living longer and traveling more. They're staying active, working longer and discovering themselves emotionally. A woman in her 50s may feel ambitious, adventurous and attractive. A divorced man in Toronto realizes he has 30 years ahead of him. He doesn't want to spend them. The population over 50 is growing fast. This creates what's called a surge. Millions of people are entering a stage of life. Their kids are grown, careers are stable and emotional priorities are shifting. Divorce among adults is rising. Gray divorce is a hidden trend. Couples who were together for 20 or 30 years are separating. Some stayed together for the kids or finances. Some became roommates of partners. Sometimes marriages end quietly. Two people stop understanding each other. They stop talking, they stop feeling connected. Then comes the scary part, starting over. Starting over at 55 feels huge. People who haven't dated since the 80s or 90s are trying to understand dating. They're dealing with dating apps, texting rules. It's exciting and terrifying at the time. A 62-year-old widow may spend 30 minutes deciding whether to send a hello message. A retired father may stare at his reflection before a date. He wonders if anyone could genuinely desire him. Dating again forces people to confront questions. Am I still attractive? Am I still interesting? Is it too late for me? These fears are human. Psychologist Erik Erikson said people struggle with connection and isolation later in life. Human beings need bonds throughout life. The need to feel loved and understood doesn't vanish with age. It becomes more important. People understand how temporary life is. Those changes dating after 50. Younger relationships are about building a future. Older adults enter relationships with priorities. They want peace, not performance. They don't want relationships that consume their identity. They spent decades sacrificing their needs. Now they crave something. A woman in Boston may love someone, want her own apartment. A man in Vancouver wants companionship without merging lives. Older adults understand love doesn't require losing yourself. Healthy relationships are built around respecting individuality. There's urgency around traditional milestones. Older adults aren't dating for marriage or kids. They're dating for companionship. They miss laughter and shared dinners. They want someone to text during days. The absence of a biological clock changes relationship dynamic. Older adults focus on compatibility, emotional safety and peace. They're less willing to tolerate manipulation or drama. Financial independence changes relationships. Many older adults are financially stable. They can choose relationships based on compatibility. That creates a kind of intimacy. They're not looking for someone to save them. They're looking for someone who improves their life. One of the changes in dating after 50 is communication. Older adults communicate directly. Life taught them how painful misunderstanding can be. They're less interested in pretending to be emotionally unavailable. A woman in her 60s may say, "I'm looking for honesty and peace." Dating after 50 is not a romantic fantasy. It comes with emotional challenges. One major issue is the imbalance between men and women. Women statistically live longer than men. Many older women struggle to find compatible partners. Men may emotionally shut down after divorce or widowhood. That creates frustration for everyone. Dating apps create another emotional reality. On one hand, technology made connecting with others easier than before. A retired teacher in Texas can meet someone in another city within minutes. A widow in Australia can rediscover flirting after years of grief. Endless swiping also creates emotional exhaustion. Many older adults describe online dating as draining. Conversations often feel superficial, repetitive, or dishonest. Fake profiles, scams, and manipulative behavior target adults heavily. Some people lose money. Others lose trust. Imagine finally finding the courage to open your heart again after years only to discover the person was lying the time. Experiences like that can deeply damage confidence. Then there is the myth of baggage. Society often treats divorced adults, widows, or people with complicated histories as emotionally damaged. What does baggage even mean? Having children? Having survived heartbreak? Having scars? Every human being over 50 carries history. That history is not weakness. It is evidence of living. A woman who survived divorce after 25 years is not damaged. She is experienced. A man grieving the loss of his wife is not emotionally broken. He is human. Many older adults secretly fear nobody will accept their past. They fear their wrinkles, their emotional scars, their complicated families, or their life experiences make them less lovable. That fear becomes especially painful. Rejection later in life can feel heavier. A 22-year-old may recover quickly after a failed relationship. Someone dating again after decades of emotional investment may experience rejection as confirmation of their deepest insecurities. Family reactions can make things harder too. Adult children sometimes struggle emotionally when parents start dating again. Some feel protective. Some feel uncomfortable. Some unconsciously believe their parents are too old for romance. Imagine a 65-year-old widow nervously telling her children she met someone only to receive silence instead of happiness. That emotional pressure can create guilt, especially for widows and widowers who feel they are somehow betraying the memory of their partner by allowing themselves happiness again. Grief and love become emotionally tangled together. Many people carry guilt the first time they laugh deeply with someone new after loss. Psychologists who study grief often explain something important. Continuing to live does not dishonor the past. Human hearts are capable of holding grief and hope at the time. Health concerns also affect dating in life. Chronic illness, physical limitations, medication, or retirement planning can shape relationships deeply. Older adults often discuss realities younger couples avoid. Medical appointments, financial planning, aging parents, retirement fears, mortality. Strangely, these difficult conversations can create emotional closeness, because they force people to become more honest about vulnerability. Younger relationships sometimes hide reality behind fantasy. Older relationships often become emotionally intimate, precisely because people stop pretending life is endless. Humans never outgrow the need for connection. Attachment theory explains that emotional bonding is not something humans graduate from after youth. We remain emotionally wired for connection throughout our lives. Loneliness later in life can actually feel more intense, because social circles shrink. Retirement removes interaction. Children become busy. Friends move away, pass away. Silence grows louder. Many older adults describe evenings as the part of the day, because loneliness becomes impossible to distract from. A quiet house can become emotionally overwhelming after years of noise and routine. This is why companionship becomes so emotionally valuable later in life. It is not always about passion or dramatic romance. Sometimes it is about presence. Having someone beside you during moments. Grocery shopping together. Watching television together. Talking before sleep. Sharing routines. Human beings underestimate how emotionally healing companionship can feel after prolonged loneliness. Another major psychological shift later in life is maturity. Younger love is often driven by fantasy, insecurity, chemistry, or ego validation. Older adults usually understand relationships differently, because they have already experienced disappointment. They know attraction alone cannot sustain intimacy. They know beauty changes. Money changes. Circumstances change. What matters more is consistency. Can this person make days easier instead of harder? Can they communicate calmly during conflict? Can they sit beside me in silence without making loneliness worse? These questions become more important later in life. Older adults also become deeply aware of time. These changes dating psychology. A 30-year-old may stay inside a relationship for years hoping things improve eventually. Someone in their 60s often feels less willing to waste energy on relationships that feel wrong. They become more direct, because life suddenly feels finite. This awareness can actually create relationships, because people stop tolerating chaos they once normalized. There are myths surrounding dating after 50. Most of them are emotionally harmful. One of the biggest is the belief that love only belongs to people. Society constantly associates romance with youth, creating the illusion that emotional excitement disappears after age. Real life tells a completely different story. There are 60-year-olds feeling nervous before dates, 70-year-olds learning how to use dating apps, widows rediscovering attraction after years of grief, divorced men smiling at text messages like teenagers again. Human emotion does not disappear with age. It evolves. Another myth is that older adults do not use technology for dating. In reality, millions are online every day looking for connection. Some are awkward with technology. Some accidentally send emojis. Some struggle with dating language. Underneath those funny moments is something deeply touching. Courage. The courage to emotionally risk yourself again after heartbreak. People also assume older relationships are boring. Many later life relationships are emotionally healthier than younger ones, because they are built on realism of fantasy. There is often manipulation, less insecurity, less obsession with impressing each other. Instead, there is honesty, patience, emotional steadiness. People finally know themselves better. They know what hurts them. They know what heals them. They stop confusing chaos with love. Carl Jung once wrote, "The afternoon of life must also have a significance of its own." That idea matters here. Life after 50 is not decline. It can become clarity. Many people actually experience love later in life because they stop performing. They stop trying to become what society expects. They become more authentic. Authenticity creates intimacy. Social media also transformed dating culture in fascinating ways. Platforms like Facebook reconnect people from decades earlier. Old classmates rediscover each other. Former partners reconnect after years. Sometimes people who were emotionally incompatible at 20 become emotionally compatible at 60. Because life changed them completely. A man who once prioritized career over intimacy may finally value presence later in life. A woman who spent decades suppressing her needs inside marriage may finally begin expressing herself. The differences between dating and dating after 50 reveal something profound about human psychology. Younger people often date searching for identity, excitement, validation, or future stability. Older adults often date searching for peace. Younger relationships sometimes ask, "Can we build a life together?" Older relationships often ask, "Can we enjoy life together?" That emotional difference changes everything. Success stories of late-life romance are becoming increasingly common too. People meet in retirement communities, apps, travel groups, volunteer organizations, book clubs, gyms, or even grocery stores. Some remarry. Others simply build loving companionship without labels. Many describe these relationships as emotionally freeing, because they are finally based on honesty of social pressure. Imagine two people in their 60s sitting together in a cafe. Neither is trying to impress the other with status or perfection. Both already know life can be painful. Both already survived disappointment. Instead of pretending to be flawless, they simply talk honestly. About loneliness. About mistakes. About grief. About hope. Maybe that kind of honesty creates deeper intimacy than youthful passion ever could. One of the things about aging is how invisible older adults often become in modern culture. Society celebrates beauty while quietly ignoring emotional lives later in adulthood. Emotional desire does not disappear simply because society stops acknowledging it. People still crave touch, conversation, warmth, understanding, a hand to hold during moments, someone to laugh with during evenings. Maybe that is the real reason dating after 50 continues growing so rapidly. It is not because older adults are trying to relive youth. It is because they are finally giving themselves permission to continue being human, to continue wanting connection, to continue believing intimacy is still possible. Some people find love after 50 than they ever experienced before, because they finally stop settling for relationships built on fear, pressure, or emotional performance. They choose differently. They value calmness, they value intelligence more. They value kindness more. Somewhere tonight, a woman in New York is nervously preparing for a date, after being single for 10 years. Somewhere in Canada, a widower smiles while reading a message from someone who makes the world feel less empty again. Somewhere in Germany, two people who thought love was behind them are slowly discovering connection through late-night conversations and shared loneliness. That is the part society misunderstands. Aging does not destroy the need for love. If anything, it reveals how necessary human connection really is. Because at the end of the day, people do not stop needing affection because they age. They simply become quieter about it. Behind closed doors, millions are starting over again. Maybe that is not tragic at all. Maybe it is beautiful. Maybe some of the relationships begin after people finally understand themselves. Maybe love after 50 is not about chasing youth. Maybe it is about discovering what truly matters. Maybe the most powerful love stories are not always the ones that begin first. Sometimes they are the ones who are brave enough to start over.